I was voted the ugliest girl in class. Unanimously. My deskmate scoffed and said I was just a joke. What they didn't know was that I had activated a special system. Every time someone insulted me, I earned $5,000. So far, I'd been mocked for 964 days and had saved up $14.8 million. Every day I applied foundation several shades darker than my real skin tone, wore oversized, unfashionable glasses and drew fake freckles across my face. I perfected the look so well that no one ever questioned it until the city dance company came to school for auditions. They announced that every girl had to remove her makeup and perform barefaced. The class beauty smirked. Some people should know their place, she said lightly. Maybe you should sit this one out. Only I knew that my real appearance could no longer be hidden. It was the eve of the SATs, when the boys in my class made an appearance ranking chart. Amid snickers and nudges, I earned a solid 2. A 2 meant I was considered hopeless. My deskmate grabbed the chart and laughed loudly. Look at her inside and out. Nothing impressive. If I hadn't lost a bet, who would even sit next to her? Last month, I had been dragged into a cheating scandal. My test paper was identical to Bella's down to the punctuation, even though I sat in front of her and my grades were consistently higher. Bella only wrinkled her nose, eyes filling with tears, looking exactly like a famous transformation influencer. Everyone admired. The class turned on me instantly, but Bella couldn't even distinguish basic symbols in math. The end, the teacher cleared my name based on that alone. Still, the rumors multiplied. Before I was invisible. Now, I was a target. Sometimes I'd be locked inside a bathroom stall and drenched with dirty water. Sometimes just walking past another class sparked new rumors that I was obsessed with someone I'd never spoken to. Teenagers were remarkably creative when it came to cruelty. An ordinary person might have collapsed under it all, but I remained calm. Today, my deskmate shoved another ranking sheet onto my desk. Congrats, Jing. First place again, a pyramid chart of supposed ugliness. My photo sat at the top, crossed out with a thick red X. Bella giggled softly beside him. I stared at the paper, lost in thought. I had a secret. At 16, I had activated the roast me system. I had fainted on the first day of school and missed orientation. By the time I returned, the nickname had already spread. Bella and her friends made sure it did. For insults that first day, $20,000 added to my balance. For someone who couldn't always afford lunch, it felt unreal. Being criticized didn't hurt me. I had bigger goals. The SATs were 3 months away, and I consistently ranked in the top 3. After graduation, none of this would matter. While others woke up at 6 o'clock, I woke up at 4 o'clock. Vocabulary, practice tests, then half an hour perfecting my disguise. No one ever looked closely. I fooled him for nearly 1,000 days. The balance in my account climbed higher and higher. Mock exam results came out. My name sat near the top, just below Liam. He was brilliant, disciplined, and determined to succeed on his own terms. We traded first place repeatedly, but I didn't care. As long as I reached my target score, rankings meant nothing. During break, Bella called out, her voice tight with jealousy. Jane, Liam is looking for you in the hallway. He frowned when he saw me. Why didn't you answer the last question? I told the truth. I didn't feel like it. He didn't believe me. Before I could respond, Bella rushed in, breathless. The city dance company is here for auditions, she announced excitedly. If you get in, you'll perform with Winter. Everyone buzzed with excitement. Bella lifted her chin proudly, already imagining her success. Then she turned to me with a gentle smile. Jane, do you want to go too? Everyone can audition. Before I could answer, my deskmate laughed. They're looking for dancers, not distractions. Bella nodded softly. Some people should know their limits. I ignored them and opened my practice test. Then Liam asked quietly, Jane, do you want to go? No, replied without looking up. I have problems to solve. The day the city dance company came, I really didn't plan on going. I planned on finishing my practice set, fixing the one type of geometry problem I still occasionally tripped over, and leaving this school behind in 3 months with a score high enough that none of these people could follow me. But the bell rang, the hallway flooded with squeals and perfume, and Liam hovered by my desk like a question he didn't know how to ask. Jane, he said, quieter this time. You can solve problems anywhere. This, you only get one shot at. I didn't look up. I'm not interested. He hesitated. You're not even curious? I almost laughed. Curious? Of course I was. I was curious about whether Bella would choke on her own confidence the moment someone forced her to be real. I was curious about whether the city dance company's no makeup rule was strict enough to strip away a persona, not just powder. I was curious about the person they kept whispering about. The celebrity performer Winter, like his name alone could open doors. But curiosity wasn't the same as risk. Risk was walking out there, wiping my face clean and letting 1,000 days of careful invisibility evaporate in front of people who had proven they couldn't handle the truth of anything. So I kept writing in for A while it worked. The classroom emptied until the air felt cooler. The noise moved outside like a storm drifting away. My pen scratched steadily, the only sound in the room besides the faint buzz of the lights. I was halfway through a set of questions when the door opened. I didn't look up at first. I assumed it was a teacher. Then a voice said pleasantly, still studying. I paused. The vice principal stood in the doorway with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Behind him, the principal hovered, and behind the principal, like a shadow that made the hallway feel smaller, was someone in a crisp white suit jacket, a black shirt underneath, posture straight, face unreadable. Winter, not the dramatic, sparkling, stage-lit Winter everyone obsessed over online. This Winter looked colder in person, like fame hadn't made him soft, like it had just made him untouchable. My pen stopped. The vice principal stepped in as if he owned the air. Why aren't you on the field with the other girls? I'm not auditioning, I said evenly. He chuckled like that was cute. You don't know that you won't be chosen if you don't try. I do know, I replied. That's why I'm not trying. The principal cleared his throat, suddenly nervous. It's a school-wide activity. Participation is expected. Expected? I repeated, tasting the word. Or mandatory. The vice principal's smile tightened. He took a step closer like he meant to pat my shoulder. I shifted back before he could touch me. The movement was small, but his eyes flickered. Annoyance, then the quick recovery of someone used to getting his way. Before he could speak again, Winter finally don't, he said. Come in flat. The vice principal froze. Winter's gaze stayed on me. You're coming. I blinked once. I'm not. Winter didn't argue. He only added, quieter, with a strange emphasis that made my stomach twist. Jane. Nobody at school said my name like that. Like it belonged to them. The principal looked between us, confused. The vice principal looked irritated. Winter looked like a decision had already been made and the world was just catching up. I stood slowly because at that point refusing would only draw more attention. And attention was expensive in ways money couldn't fix. As I stepped into the hallway, I heard it faint, familiar, almost comforting. Ding. $5,000. Even now, even here, someone had managed to insult me in their head. I didn't need to guess who. On the walk to the field, the vice principal tried to recover control by talking too loudly about fairness and school reputation. Winter ignored him completely. So did I. Outside, the entire school felt like it had been poured into one place. Girls clustered in tight groups, fixing each other's hair, practicing turns, fluttering like they were already on stage. Boys hung around the edges, pretending not to stare, pretending not to care, bailing at both. The city dance company staff had set up a long table with registration sheets and 2 boxes of wipes. Behind them was a row of portable mirrors. Bella stood near the front like she was the host of the event, laughing softly, face perfect. lashes dramatic, lips glossy. When she saw me, her smile sharpened. "Oi," said in that sweet voice that never meant anything sweet. "You came?" My deskmate, who wasn't even my deskmate anymore in spirit, just in seating chart, leaned toward Bella and stage whispered, "Guess she wants to embarrass herself in front of Winter." Bella's eyes flicked over my face, my glasses, my freckles, the carefully mismatched foundation. She looked satisfied. The staff member with a clipboard raised her voice. "Rule 1: everyone removes makeup. No exceptions. You perform as you are." Bella's fingers tightened around a wipe like it offended her. Then Winter stepped forward. The entire field went silent the way crowds do when they sense power. He didn't smile. He didn't wave. He simply said, "This is a requirement. If you won't do it, you don't audition." A ripple of reluctant movement started. Wipes tore open. Girls began scrubbing. Some did it delicately, like they could negotiate with reality. Others went at their faces like they were angry at the rule. Bella was theatrical about it. Of course, she turned slightly so people could see her profile, dabbed as if filming a tutorial, and sighed dramatically. When she finished, she looked the same, not because she was naturally flawless, because her entire life had been built around knowing exactly how to appear effortless. She turned to me and tilted her head. "Jane," she said softly, loud enough for people nearby to hear, "you can still sit this out. It's okay." I stared at the wipes on the table. For nearly 1,000 days, I'd built a wall out of makeup, lenses, and fake freckles. A wall that had bought me silence, invisibility, and $14.80 million. A wall that had kept me safe. But walls also trap you. And the day you need to leave, you realize you forgot what it felt like to breathe without them. The staff member slid a small, clear bowl toward me. "Use the remover. It works better." My deskmate laughed. "Yeah, you'll need the industrial stuff." Ding. $5,000. Then another ding. Someone else. They were generous today. I picked up the wipe. My hands didn't shake. That surprised me. I lowered my glasses, first folding them carefully as if I were setting down a mask at the end of a long performance. Then I pressed the wipe to my cheek. The dark foundation came off fast, too fast, like it had been waiting for permission. I wiped again. The freckles blurred, then vanished. The air around me shifted. I felt it before I heard it. The way a crowd changes temperature when something they thought they understood stops spitting. I leaned over the bowl, splashed water, and scrubbed the last stubborn line of makeup at my jaw. When I straightened, the world didn't immediately explode. It went quiet. Not the comfortable quiet of a library, the stun of a room, realizing it has been wrong out loud for a very long time. Someone whispered, "Is that Jane?" Someone else breathed, "No way." Bella's smile froze. My deskmate's mouth actually fell open like his brain couldn't keep his face under control. Bella recovered first because she always did. Her eyes narrowed. "That's not real," she said quickly. "That has to be like special effects makeup." A few people nodded, eager for an explanation that let them keep their worldview intact. Winter's gaze landed on me and held. For the first time, something flickered in his eyes. Recognition, maybe, or memory. The staff member with the clipboard didn't look impressed by the drama. She just said, "Does anyone else need remover?" Bella snapped. "Make her do it again." The staff member raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "Because it's not fair," Bella insisted, voice strained. "If she's cheating." "Cheating," Winter echoed, and the word sounded ridiculous coming from him. The staff member offered me a different bottle. "Here, use mine. If it's makeup, it'll come off." I took it because arguing was pointless. I wiped again. My skin stayed the same. My faccia stayed mine. Bella's expression cracked just for a second like porcelain under pressure. Behind her, someone muttered, "So, she was doing that on purpose this whole time." Ding. $5,000. I almost wanted to thank them. Winter lifted a hand. Enough, he said. And just like that, the crowd obeyed. The staff announced the next step. We measure proportions. Then we test basic movement and rhythm. People surged forward again, buzzing louder now, but it was a different kind of buzz, not ridicule, speculation, hunger. They measured my height, 5 feet 8 inches. They measured my arms, legs, shoulders, neck, head. The staff member scribbled, then paused. That's unusually balanced. Bella made a sharp sound. Half laugh, half choke. Height doesn't matter if you can't dance. My deskmate jumped in like a loyal pet. Yeah, she's all book. Doesn't even go to practice sessions. She's never on the field. He was right, because dancing belonged to a part of my life I didn't like remembering. The staff member clapped her hands. Oh, basic showcase. Everyone performs something, you know. Ballet, contemporary, jazz, anything. Girl shifted into positions with bright, desperate energy. Bella stepped forward, like she'd been waiting for this moment her entire life. She danced well, not breathtakingly, but well enough that people clapped hard because they wanted her to win, because her winning made the world make sense again. Then they looked at me. Expectation rose like a wave. The ugly girl was beautiful. Now she had to be talented too, right? That's how stories worked. That's how they wanted it to work. Winter's eyes stayed on me, calm and heavy. I understood suddenly why he'd insisted I come out here. This wasn't about the audition. This was about forcing me to stop hiding. And I hated that he could still push me after everything. I took one step forward. Then I stopped. I'm not performing, I said. A few gasps, a few confused laughs. Bella's face lit up with relief that tried to disguise itself as pity. See, she said softly, some people really should know their limits. I looked at her, then past her at the entire crowd, and I smiled. Not because I was happy, because for the first time, they didn't get to write my ending. I didn't come here to entertain you, I said calmly. I came here because I was told I had to. Now I'm leaving. The principal looked like he wanted to argue. Winter didn't. He held my gaze, and in his expression, I saw something like approval, thin and reluctant, but real. Go, he said. So I did. I walked away from the field while people stared, holes into my back, and every few steps. Ding, ding, ding. $5,000 at a time. Jealousy was a bottomless well. Back in class, the silence felt different. It wasn't lonely now. It was protected. I sat down, opened my practice test again, and wrote as if the world outside didn't exist. But the world didn't stay outside for long. By the next morning, everything had changed. Girls who had never spoken to me suddenly smiled too hard. Boys who had thrown things at me last month now tried to joke their way into conversations. People asked for my socials like they were entitled to proof I was real. Bella didn't speak to me directly for 2 days. Then she started again because she couldn't help herself. First it was whispers about how I must have gotten work done. Then it was rumors that I was meeting someone after school. Then it was somehow that I'd been picked up in a black luxury car. None of it mattered except the part where it reminded me of something I had almost forgotten. People didn't only punish you for being ugly. They punished you for being anything they couldn't control. 2 weeks after the audition, the school announced a special live stream event with a big social media platform, a youth spotlight, a celebration before SAT season. 10 schools, 1 week, a rotating stage, and a mystery guest that they promised would shock everyone. The moment the posters went up, the halls turned into a carnival because the rumor was simple. A famous anonymous TikTok creator was a student here. A creator who never showed her real face, who built her brand on transformations, makeup illusions, character work, and storytelling. And the platform had just rolled out a new feature that could reveal verified creators' real identities at events. People went feral. Bella went feral in the most Bella way, with a smile and a plan. The day before the event, she came to class with her hair styled exactly Like that creator's most famous look. Big soft waves, oversized sunglasses. The whole I'm hiding but not really vibe. Her friends hovered around her. Like bodyguards. My old desk mate, still loyal, still loud, grinned and said, "Tomorrow you're going to shut everyone up, Bella." Bella touched her sunglasses. As if she was modest. "Don't say that," she murmured. "It's not me." But her voice practically begged people to believe it was. I watched, pen moving steadily, and thought, one lie always demands another. The next morning the field was turned into a stage. Cameras everywhere, staff in headsets, students screaming like it was a concert instead of a school event. Winter arrived again. As an invited guest, because of course he did. Fame loved fame. He stood near the stage, expressing cool eyes, scanning the crowd like he was looking for something he didn't want to name. Bella took it as an audience. When it was time for special appearances, she insisted on going up. She performed a song instead of dance because she claimed she was injured, and the crowd ate it up anyway because they wanted the fantasy. Online comments streamed across a big screen behind the stage. "Is that her? No way. She's here. She looks kind of different. Wait, that's not the voice." Bella's smile wavered. The sun was hot. Her foundation began to break around her nose. Sweat turned powder into streaks. She swayed slightly. Too much dramatics. Too much panic. Two people rushed forward as she stumbled. One of them was my old desk mate. The other was Winter. He caught her arm, steadying her, and then his eyes narrowed. He reached up and pushed her sunglasses off. The camera, greedy and merciless, caught everything. Bella's face half melted. Makeup, panic in her eyes. Not the anonymous creator. Not even close. The comment feed turned brutal instantly. That's not her. Why is she pretending? This is embarrassing. Stop trying to steal someone's identity. Bella's knees buckled. She didn't faint because she was weak. She fainted because she'd finally been seen clearly, and she couldn't survive it. They carried her off stage in a rush. The crowd buzzed. Louder, more chaotic now. If it wasn't Bella, then who? People started turning their heads, scanning faces like predators. I stayed still. I'd spent too long learning how not to flinch. But Winter's gaze found me anyway, like it always did. When the commotion calmed, he walked straight toward me. Not fast. Not angry, just certain. He stopped. Close enough that the noise behind him blurred. And then so quietly only I could hear, he said the name I hadn't heard in years. Not Jane. Not the name I used at school. My real last name. The one tied to the life I refused to return to. My stomach tightened. I didn't answer. Winter studied my face like he was reading a truth he'd avoided. "Why won't you come back?" he asked. I smiled, small and sharp. "Back where?" He exhaled once, controlled. "Home." I met his eyes. "That's your home." "Not mine." For a moment, the polished celebrity facade slipped, and I saw the person underneath, the boy who had watched from warmth while I stood in the snow years ago, begging to be allowed to stay in school. "Dad wants to see you," Winter said. "I don't care," I replied, still calm. He didn't want to see me. When my mother was alive. Winter's jaw tightened. "You don't know everything." I know enough. The crowd behind him was still searching, still whispering. Winter's voice dropped even lower. "You're going to be exposed." I tilted my head. So he stared at me, and for the first time he looked almost unsettled. Because he realized something. I wasn't afraid of them finding out who I was. I was only afraid of letting the wrong people drag me back into a life I'd already escaped. I stepped around him and walked away. Behind me, the noise rose again as someone shouted, "The platform update is live. You can see verified identity cards." Phones came out like weapons. People tapped and swiped and shoved close to one another. Then someone screamed, and then another. And then the entire field seemed to inhale at once, because on the big screen the platform flashed a verified identity card for the anonymous creator everyone had been chasing. And the name on that card matched the one Winter had just spoken. It matched the one I'd buried under dark foundation and fake freckles. It matched me. Hundreds of heads snapped in my direction. 1,000 expressions shifted from hunger to shock to something darker. Envy, resentment, humiliation. Ding. $5,000. Ding. $5,000. It came so fast I almost couldn't count it. For a heartbeat, nobody moved. Then, the principal lunged into damage control, shouting about privacy and respect and school values. Like values were something you could announce into a microphone and expect teenagers to suddenly grow. Winter took one step toward me again like he meant to shield me. I stopped him with one look. Don't pretend now, my eyes said. Don't suddenly play hero when you watch me freeze. He froze. I turned and walked off the field anyway, straight back. Steady, because giving them a reaction would feed them. And because I had one more thing to do before I left this school forever. Bella had made a bet with me the day before. She'd said, laughing, "You think you're so smart now? Tomorrow you'll still be nobody." So I looked at her and said quietly, "Tomorrow you'll leave this school on your own." She'd agreed because arrogance makes people stupid. Now with the entire school watching her lie collapse on a live stream with the platform's verified card burning on the screen behind her with her friend suddenly backing away like she was contagious. Bella didn't need me to win that bet. She was already losing it in real time. She reappeared later that afternoon, face washed clean, eyes swollen from crying, and she tried to storm into class like she still had power. But power doesn't survive daylight. The administration called her into the office. Then her mother arrived, frantic and furious. Then the platform staff pulled their footage. Then the school, desperate to protect its image, did the one thing it always does when a popular student finally goes too far. They made an example. Bella was suspended. Her team scattered. Her fake kindness evaporated. And my old deskmate, who had been loudest when it was safe, stood in the hallway afterward, with his hands in his pockets, staring at the floor like he finally realized what he'd been helping create. He didn't apologize right away. He just looked up once and whispered, "I didn't know." I almost told him the truth. "You knew. You just didn't care." But I didn't have the energy for revenge. I already had something better. A future SAT season arrived like a door opening. The school calmed down because tests make everyone selfish in a different way. Rumors got quieter. I still followed me, but less boldly now. I stopped wearing the disguise completely. Not because I wanted attention, because I was done shrinking for people who never earned the right to see me small. The roast me system didn't stop. If anything, it got louder. Pretty girls get insulted too. Sometimes more. People called me stuck up for not smiling. Called me fake for not letting them in. Called me arrogant for staying quiet. Called me lucky like discipline wasn't real. Ding after ding after ding. Money piled up in silence. And every morning, while the rest of them obsessed over who was dating who was trending, who had the best angle on camera, I woke up at 4 o'clock and did what I'd always done. Vocabulary, practice tests, math, until my wrist ached. Because I wasn't building a life out of revenge. I was building a life out of escape. On test day, I walked into the exam room with my pencil sharpened and my heart strangely calm. Bella wasn't there. A few of her old friends were heads down, pretending we'd never been anything to each other. Liam sat 2 rows away, posture straight, eyes focused, as if the world had never been messy. When the proctor said, "Begin," I flipped the page and started. By the time I finished, the sun had shifted across the window. I sat my pencil down and stared at my answer sheet for a moment, not because I doubted myself, but because I realized something quietly astonishing. They hadn't broken me. Not when they called me ugly. Not when they tried to smear me. Not when they chased my identity like it was theirs to claim. I walked out of the room feeling lighter than I had in years. Results came weeks later. My score hit the number I'd been chasing. The one that opened every door I wanted. And the day I packed my things After graduation, my phone buzzed one. Last time with a system notification. Ding. $5,000. Someone somewhere still couldn't stand me. I smiled, slipped my phone into my pocket, and kept walking. Because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't looking back at the people who had tried to define me. I was looking forward at the life they'd never get to touch.